ambitious agenda tonight. We're going to start off our community meeting with a presentation by the Westland-Wilsonville School District. There's a number of folks here, 4 of which I think are going to talk either in pieces or collectively. And thanks so much for coming and sharing what you've got on board, both in the context of the administration building and your other, I guess, conceptual ideas. I should note that there will be time for questions, although probably not a lot, which doesn't mean that your questions won't get answered if there isn't time for them. Probably the preferred way is for you to write them down and send them versus on chat. Katie Wilson can source that up more for you, as well as keeping the questions with some brevity or some focus so that most of the time is spent in the answer and not in the asking of the question. So with that, I'm not sure whether it's Remo or Jim who's going to start off the dialogue, but I will turn this over to the Westland-Wilsonville School District and take it away, folks. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. I appreciate it. If Jim Fitzpatrick has the ability to share his screen, he'll start doing that in a moment here. And then I'll do a brief introduction for each of the projects, and then Jim, as our principal architect working for the district on many of the projects, will present the design. So we'll see if it pops up. Jim, do you see that you have the ability? Oh, there it goes. Our faces move over here. All right. And there's my screen there. All right. Well, good evening, folks. I'm Remo Douglas. I'm the Capital Construction Program Manager for the school district. I'm overseeing the capital bond work under our new 2019 bond, as well as closing up the 2014 bond. The last little tidbits left on that one. I want to thank you all for hosting us for another presentation of our projects. First, we're going to provide a quick update on our Stafford storage project. You may recall that we presented earlier in the fall on that project. So first, we're going to talk through our agenda. We're going to review the goals that the district has for the project, and then present what you saw last time briefly, and then the updated design in response to feedback, and then describe the process for the permitting and the project moving forward. So in terms of the goals of the project, we're looking to replace a district storage facility that will be demolished as part of our new primary school in the north end of Wilsonville. And we want to also consolidate the district operations storage onto one campus. There's a certain amount of efficiency in having all of our bulk storage in one location. We're now targeting a 12,000 square foot building. That's reduced from the 20,000 square feet that we proposed before. Again, in response to the feedback from the Hamlet, we said, well, what's the smallest increment that can meet the needs that we see in the immediate future, and then contemplate that some future phase could be brought in as a future permit someday. But let's just focus on what we need today, and not burden this permit process with contemplating that longer term vision. Another goal since the last meeting was to reduce the visual impact from the road and the adjoining properties, while maintaining the storage centrally in the district, and knowing that we can do this here as it's appropriate to the zoning for the site, as well as not increasing traffic in the vicinity. With that, I'll turn it over to Jim to take a look at what you saw last time briefly, and then transition into the new design tonight.
Remo. Thanks everybody for having me back again to show the projects. So again, this is an update on what we showed the last time and the changes made since then. This first slide here is to show you kind of the project location, so you guys know where this is. 8th Creek and District Operations Center and Stafford Primary School, and then the new site, Stafford Maintenance Shed site is this location. So last time we showed you a large building. You can see here, let's see a better pointer here. Let me get a better pointer here. You can kind of see right here. This was our 30,000 square foot building that we were looking at last time, and we had a grounds building, and we had a conference center thing, and kind of a lot of different things were going on to kind of show you what we were looking at. Well, it's been kind of reduced to just the maintenance shed building. The size of the building has been reduced to 12,000 square feet as well. So it's been relocated from this side near Stafford Road back to the west portion, so it's farther away from the road. And then we're also not planning on showing any other buildings. It's just kind of a future kind of discussion last time, and it was determined, it's just this is all this project is. We're doing the building. There's a stormwater facility that's related to the building occurs here. There's additional parking here. We're adding 12 new spaces. We're taking about 7 away, but we're adding a total of 12 new spaces, including a few here in front of the building. The asphalt area in front of the building has been reduced to just what's needed to kind of get trucks in and out. Reduce the cost of the project in addition to kind of making the whole simpler. Along Stafford Road, we've pulled back the fence, so the fence is farther back, and we're going to provide some landscaping buffer around between Stafford Road and that fence, and then along the property line. And then, if I missed anything here, the building appearance-wise is similar to what we saw last time. It's a engineered metal building, and last time we kind of showed you more of a beige color that matches the District Operations Center buildings, but the district decided to kind of make it more of a gray color that kind of blends back into the landscape a little bit more. So this is kind of a rendering, kind of showing you how it might look. Engineered metal building. This shows you about the size of the building. There's a potential that we put solar panels on that roof. It's a way to kind of mitigate some solar panel requirements for other projects that might go here. And then other than that, there's just a building number on it. So it's a pretty basic building. I think that's it. You want to talk about next steps, or you would like me to do that?
Yeah, so this project does require a conditional use permit through the county. And we are looking to submit our application for that in the next couple of weeks. And we would expect, that'll take 4 or 5 months total. And we will continue on finalizing the various details of the design as we go through that process and go in for building permit with a goal of bidding in time for construction. We're saying here the summer and fall, short of unexpected material shortages or other issues, we'd expect to get the work complete next summer. Yeah, so it's really a pretty straightforward, quick and simple project at this point. We did put in the link down there to the district bond website. There's updates on there with some frequency for the various projects around the district that folks may have an interest in. And that's really what we had in terms of a presentation. Bill, I see there's a few questions coming in chat. I could address those or however you'd prefer us to address questions. We'll leave it to you to decide. We do have a second project. What that time frame that would be appropriate. I know you have other agenda items.
My sense is, and again, not to discourage people from either writing in or raising their hands, I would rather see you go through both projects, and so we we get coverage in both areas. I mean, what you did here was really efficient. If you can do that again, that'll leave folks, I think, some time to check in. So yeah, that would be my preference, Remo, if that works for you folks.
Sure. We'll roll right on through, and our very energy efficient lights have shut off on me, so you'll see me skip away and come back.
All right, while he's doing that, I'm gonna pull up the other. Let's start the presentation here, and then I'll share the screen again to get back to this. All right. Does everybody see this Athey Creek Middle School Improvements Community Meeting? Okay, so we will move through this similar to what we did the last time, and we want to start off with
yeah, absolutely. So our projects for Athey Creek Middle School, again, the same agenda here as the prior project. We'll talk through the goals, the current design concept, and our process and next steps. The first thing I'd like to reiterate is that these two projects are not linked. They both happen to be on the same broader campus and being designed in a similar time frame, and so it's most appropriate and efficient to bring those both here this evening together. But they are two distinct, separate projects. So the project goals for this project, one of the big goals for this bond program is to go around to all of the schools and create what we call a secure entry system. And Athey Creek is one of those that's something of a challenge because the main office is tucked back into the building a short distance. And so it doesn't allow us to funnel people directly into reception very easily without kind of cutting up the rest of the building and not allowing free flow in the way that we would like. And so, it presented a certain amount of challenge in how do we make that secure entry. We also want to make sure that the administration office is there at the front of the school where folks can find it, not only for security, but also for, just proper flow and convenience of visitors, having it clear to folks where they should go when they arrive at the school. We're also looking at how we will create new student services spaces for a broad variety of reasons, which we'll elaborate on further. And then furthermore, renovate some select spaces for career and technical education opportunities. Athey Creek has been receiving updates through our prior bond programs, knowing that this site was viable long into the future and that it would continue to be a valuable asset to the school district. There's been a lot of carpet and light fixtures and painting and roofing and all sorts of things that have been done to continue it as a viable site. And now, as the broader program has taken shape, these transitions will happen. These projects will happen as the school is still a middle school, working, around the students and working largely in the summers. But it will transition in the fall of 2023 to be the district's third option high school, both as a new home for the students who currently attend the Arts and Technology High School down in Wilsonville, as well as acting as a relief valve for overcrowded high schools for both Westland and Wilsonville High School. We could talk more about those details, but first, Jim, let's walk through briefly what the design looks like.
Okay. So this again is just kind of an orient you. Last time the slide showed north to the right. We're showing north up here in this aerial view, just to kind of our plans that we show you here will be in north up. So I just want to give you oriented to where Athey Creek Middle School is. So this is the existing site plan. You'll see the existing school building here, the district operations center and the district warehouse and the related parking and traffic patterns around here. The proposed addition is a site plan will change the parking area a bit. The new addition will occur right in front of the school. The addition, it's going to remove about 13 spaces. There's about 100, there'll be a total of 142 spaces, which is kind of above the minimum code required, but we lose about 13 spaces. And then also there's spaces over here. There's about 93 spaces on this side here that where the district operations center needed to have those to meet code, but they don't really actually use all those. So this is kind of spillover space. So there's quite a bit of parking here for this building, and it meets code. One of the other things we were looking at is the bus loading. Bus loading happens right along this area right now, and the plan is to continue that. You know, this new addition kind of pushed some things out, but the buses come through here and drop off and kids the same location it always has. And then we have a parent drop off planned for around the perimeter of the parking. So the idea is the flow of the pattern, the flow of the traffic for parents would be coming in through the main entry, dropping off along the edge here, and then kind of going out this way, where buses go the opposite direction and they kind of avoid each other. And this is a situation they've actually been using. A lot of parents will come and park and drop off in the parking lot, but this is the situation that's been working, and according to the principal, it's been working well. So we're kind of maintaining that. I want to show you a little bit about the project, what's going on inside the space. So this is the admin area addition. And so the existing office spaces are way back in here. So as Remo mentioned, you know, there's safety and security issues with allowing people to come directly into the school. Once you enter the main entry of the school, you're kind of anywhere you want to go. So people had to come through here to this location to get to the main office. So what we're designing is a new addition outside that incorporates all the needs of the school, new office entry, and then it also has a visitor entry. The main entry is still here. Students will come here, come and go at the beginning of school, the end of school, and other times the district is allowing them to come through here. But during the school, typically these doors are locked. They have a full egress to get out anytime they need to, but they're locked. So any visitors that come, anybody, disgruntled parent or whatever, has to come through the office first. There's the visitor entrance is right here, and there's a typical Weston Wilsonville standard of having a vestibule where these doors are locked, and you force visitors to come to the office, check in, make sure they check in with somebody official before they're allowed to kind of get access to the rest of the school. So the old, or existing, now currently existing office area is going to get remodeled into a student services area. And that'll be a space for counselors, career counselors and guidance people, and to meet with students throughout the school year. And then another part of this is the career technical education. We're going to take a few existing classrooms and change the way that those classrooms function. They're kind of the way career technical education works is there's a lot of different paths you can take, but in this case, we're taking two existing spaces and we're going to add power and data, more power and data than a normal classroom would have. We'll have some water, so they can do a lot of different technical type of class space, class functions in that space. So that's kind of the general overview of what the project is. And then this next slide here kind of shows you a view of what the addition would look like. The materials are going to be very similar to the materials that are on the existing building. We wanted to kind of stay with the same vernacular of brick, the same tall windows. It looks a little bit more modern here. We've got a clear story window that goes across the top of the building where to allow some light deeper into the building in the office area. And then this also kind of provides a front door. So when people come, they know that, hey, this is where you go in. So this is what we did here. And then this view is kind of more showing you how it would fit in with the existing entry, and the landscaping and kind of what we've done out here is increased in size. So we've added some landscaping spaces and some seat walls and some things to kind of activate this space a little bit more than it maybe currently is. And that's essentially it. We want to take over this.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. So for this project, we're also going to head into land use permitting because the school will continue to serve as a secondary school in the district, and the increase in size is modest to the scale of the building. It is not a full conditional use permit. We wanted to make sure we came and spoke with the Hamlet, talked to the community, let them know what the plan was. regardless of requirements or not. In fact, it's not a county requirement that we would present this project publicly, but we wanted to make sure that we did. In terms of the schedule, permitting and bidding will happen over the next several months in time to prepare for construction of the office addition to be in the summer and fall of 2021. And then over the winter break, we would hope to relocate the office staff into the new front office. And then before school starts, as school is starting back up, reorient the construction around to the rear of the school and complete that remodel of the existing office into the student services area. And that would happen winter through summer of 2022. And then in the final year, before the school converts into the new high school, after the district has had time to consider all the detail of the school's program, the courses that are happening, how the design should be influenced by the program of the school. We then complete the career and technical education remodel in the summer of 2023, along with some other minor finishes improvements in order to have the school kind of have its full new face when students arrive for the first time as high schoolers there. So that's really, in general, the project schedule moving forward. Jim, if you wouldn't mind jumping back to that rendering out front, it may be conducive to questions folks might have. So I'll again come back to you, Bill, and offer we're available. I'd be happy to take the chat questions in the sequence as I see they came in, or however you would prefer.
Katie Wilson is usually will just funnel.
I got Bill. I'm here, and I can. I think what we'll do is I think starting with the chat is a great option, and Remo, if you want to, we can take them in order. That's perfectly fine, and then I'll invite any listeners to either enter their questions in chat or raise their hand if they'd like to speak to you directly, and we'll take those questions and comments in order.
Sounds great. So the first questions centered around parking spaces lost and gained. I think the gist is what are we losing, what are we gaining, and what's that net benefit? And that's around the Stafford project. So the net addition is 12. So when Jim mentioned that 12 number, that is the net additional parking spaces. I believe it was 19 added and 7 removed to make 12. And so yeah, the next question is around the existing sanitary leach fields. Where are they, or where will they be?
Remo, sorry to stop you. You want me to bring up that plan so we can talk about it, have it on the screen when we're talking about it?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. So the sanitary drain field system that serves the Stafford Primary School exists on both sides of where the driveway is. We do not expect to interact with any of the leach lines that are in place out there. We do have, as the questioner noted, we do have survey on where those were originally. And additionally, we had a small excavator come out and do some shallow digging to verify that things are and aren't where they should and shouldn't be. And we believe that our survey information is accurate and that we will not be impacting the sanitary sewer system. Okay, how do I get my questions to come back? There they are. Okay. The next is, where is the truck access in the school traffic or separate driveway cut? So the idea here is that the truck access will happen through the existing Stafford driveway. These are coordinated deliveries. This isn't an all day, every day traffic queue that comes through. There are days where there's no deliveries. There might be a couple on another day. The trucking companies work with us. They get the rhythm of the schools. They understand when it's going to be challenging for them to get through, and they're financially motivated to go around those times. This is truck traffic in a lot of cases, that's already coming to the ATHE Stafford campus. There's some of our district storage that's already on the campus over by ATHE Creek. And so, it'll be a mix of the current storage that's happening at the Wilsonville site as well as up there. And again, it's not been an issue in terms of operating the school and having that as a shared driveway. How tall is the shed going to be? Jim, if you could try and find that. I wanted to say it was 20 feet at the base, and then it was somewhere in the 28-foot range.
That's correct. We don't have the dimensions on here, but that is correct. It's probably about 28 feet high or so.
Okay. All right. The next question was, so this is the same size as the current storage facility in Wilsonville. It's actually smaller. The existing storage facility is truly sheds and barns that had a different use to a previous property owner. We simply use it because it was already there. The proposed building will be more efficient, similar to our building that's already over near ATHE Creek. It is planned to have high shelving and storage racks, very much in a warehouse fashion that could be served by a forklift, which allows a lot more efficient use of space. I believe the existing facilities are around 15,500 square feet. This one is proposed at 12,000. But again, with the efficiency of the racking, the use of a forklift, it will actually effectively be larger. And that's, again, part of the motivation of the construction of this facility. Programming of the high school. It will be the district's third high school. This isn't quite my area of expertise, but the idea is that it's a third high school. A student could go there full time, take a full set of courses, and part of the broader district goal, in alignment with the districts over the last couple of years doing high school studies, both with students and staff, and then the public as well. What should this future of high school look like? There's a major interest in career and technical education. So each of the high schools will be taking on a couple of different CTE pathways, they call them. At this time, I believe there's strong interest around medical work, as well as business and entrepreneurship work that's being considered for this high school. Again, that programming is something that will be developed in time. That's something that's going to be a serious effort with a large group of folks over an extended period of time to get into detail of that. And that's part of the reason why those CTE spaces won't be constructed until 2023. We want to make sure that we're considering what that means and what the program means to the building physically. And so we don't have all of the details around it, but it will be a small high school. Does the current request cover all three phases? There's two options of what this might be meaning, so I'll try to answer both. One, in terms of the Stafford storage project, we will only apply for what we initially called the first phase. What you see on the drawing here is we're looking at it now. Part of the Hamlet's hesitance around the project seemed to be that we were contemplating all these phases and future needs far out into the future. And frankly, I just said, well, let's just talk about what we need today, and we'll leave the broader topics of future updates to a permit at a later time. And then the Hamlet will know at the time that we propose those improvements, here's a real look at what the district knows it's going to need and handle that at that time. In terms of the high school project, the updates to Athey Creek, all of those phases will happen under this project. Only the exterior improvements are centered in the land use permit. The interior improvements are just renovation. I am not certain about agricultural programs. I know that agricultural is a strong part of what the district's interest is in environmental science and other programs, starting with primary students, doing garden bed projects. I've managed a number of projects of adding those garden beds to primary schools. We're now proposing for middle schools that we would have greenhouses that would kind of be a broader and deeper look into agriculture, horticulture, all of those things. And then the third step, kind of extending into that world, would be CTE pathways, and students having the opportunity to grow and develop particular interests through the different pathways that each high school would have. But I don't have exact information on high school agricultural programs at this time. I see there's a comment, not really a question, but it says athletic facilities, lights, stadium, noise, pollution. There's no plans in this permit to include synthetic turf or sports field lights. We already repaired the running track. We scraped all the rubber off. It was well worn out at this time. And we fixed the existing natural grass football field around the perimeter so that the water would drain and we didn't have water buildup both on the grass and the track. And so no, those sorts of concerns are not relevant to the projects anticipated in this bond for Athey Creek. Okay. So the next question is around the secure entry. Perhaps, Jim, you could switch back to the Athey plan view real quick. So these secure entries are something that we've been building at schools across the district for several years now. I've managed a number of them, starting with our most recent 2 new schools, which are Sunset Primary School up in West Lynn and Meridian Creek Middle School down in Wilsonville. We did 5 more of them this last summer. We had done 2 others 2 years ago now. So we're working our way right through the district. And if we could go to the plan view, Jim, that would be awesome. So the idea with the design is, you know, we need to have the doors able to be open and have a large number of people enter and exit at the start of school and at the end, when students need to get out to parent vehicles or buses, or are exiting those vehicles en masse and need to get into the school. And so the existing main entry doors, which Jim is highlighting in red with his little marker there, those will be open and available for students to use at the appropriate time at the beginning and end of the day. Once school begins, those doors and the rest of the perimeter doors will be locked. What that will require visitors to do, and will indicate particularly at the beginning with signage to make sure folks get used to the pattern, that they'll use the new entrance that goes into what we call a secure vestibule. And so any visitor is allowed to get indoors out of the lovely weather we often get like today, and then is able to head into reception to be greeted by the receptionists, talk through their purpose and their visit. Are they dropping a lunch off? Do they need to go visit someone in the school? Get them checked in, get a little ID badge, and then allow them to continue into the school. There's a number of security features. We don't tend to get into all the details in public presentations, but there are the abilities to lock things down. There's specialty glazing products that are used in order to create a secure entry there. I'm really proud of the district and its goal for the security for schools. It would be easy to make these things feel like a prison as you enter. you could have lots of security, and you could bar things, and you could have metal detectors, and you do all of these things. But you can cause most of the security to happen almost invisibly. Entry vestibules, where you enter a small room and then go through a second door, are required for main entries anyway. It's an energy code requirement. And we can allow special door hardware and other products to provide some security there and control from staff who are responsible for being observant at the front entry. Other things most of us would never think about: vehicle intrusion. What would happen if someone attempted to drive a car into a building? Well, if you just put brick on the bottom few feet of the building and a sturdy wall behind it, key use of bollards or seating benches, you can prevent that sort of potential risk while making it an open and pleasant front plaza experience for everyone. There's a lot of benefit there to that. I probably rambled on too long, but it's something we're very passionate about, making sure that everyone feels welcome to come to school, that kids want to be there, and yet we have ways to subtly keep them safe. So now I'll see where I was. Okay. That was the funneling folks to the entrance. ATHE 3 phases, I did talk through that. How can you call the site central to the district? If you look at the broader district map, it is relatively central when you consider the use of Stafford Road and or the freeways. That's actually the main reason why Athey Creek was planted as the third middle school at the time it was built. It allowed the pickup of students in the rural areas, as well as parts of Westland, and even in to the north end of Wilsonville at times. And it allowed kind of pickup of all that area, allowed everyone to kind of, yes, a lot of folks had to travel some distance, but they were kind of equidistant to some extent from different directions. Now that we're moving into a phase with 4 middle schools, we're now shifting it. I know a number of folks are familiar with our project to have a new middle school on the Dollar Street property. And so now we're shifting to where we have 2 middle schools in West Lynn, kind of in the northern and the southern area of West Lynn. And then now we've got 2 middle schools down in Wilsonville, one in the west and one in the east. And it provides us the perfect opportunity then, when you have 3 schools, again, to have one central and one on either end. So both cities are served. Students who are going to want to experience that smaller high school experience, that currently, if you live in West Lynn, you've got to go clear into downtown Wilsonville at this point. Having that more central location makes that easier and more accessible to vulnerable students who would like to have that smaller high school experience, as well as the campus being suitable long-term. 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now, the district has to think well beyond when, I'll be here or anyone else. And should development continue at some point in that time frame, the campus for the third high school, it makes sense for it to be a larger campus that could expand someday if and when that became appropriate. Okay. Full athletic facilities in future programming. The broader athletic improvements are not contemplated as part of this bond measure in the current funding. And so the community would have the opportunity to contemplate that ahead of a future vote. It's not contemplated in this phase of this high school. So lots of positivity about safety and CTE. Mr. McCabe is interested in a video copy of this presentation. I don't know if the county posts those somewhere.
I think the Hamlet will have a video of this, and that should be included, Remo.
Okay.
Are you kind of winding down here with questions? It looks like you're kind of looking through the array. because we're kind of running up against the time
Sure.
frame.
Sure. Well, yeah, we're down to questions that are just coming in. I would encourage folks to continue to reach out. I don't know, Bill, if you see that as the Hamlet receiving questions and forwarding them to us, or we could offer contact information in the chat in order to make sure that questions are getting out and we're getting answers. There are things like the centralizing of the third part of the district for that third high school. We've got maps on the website. I could get them to folks. But again, I know you have another major topic for your meeting, and I could go on for hours. I get excited, but I want to be sensitive to the time.
I think what might be most helpful is if we collect the questions and provide them to you, Remo, and then that way, when you respond, we can make sure that those responses get up on the website so anyone can see them.
Yeah.
This link for this particular meeting, if I understood your question right, the county will upload this to our YouTube channel, and then we provide a link to the Hamlet for them to post on their webpage. So the meeting will be made public. It is being recorded. So anyone who wasn't able to be here tonight can see the questions and the presentation that you provided tonight.
Sure. All right. Well, again, I appreciate the opportunity to get to talk about these exciting improvements. It's great to see some enthusiasm around the improvements at the middle school, security and safety, CTE, all of that. Those are things that are near and dear to our hearts as we pursue this work. The shed's not as exciting, but every bit as vital. But again, thank you. I appreciate it. We'll look forward to getting those questions forwarded to us. We'll make sure Katie has our contact information so that can happen in an efficient manner.
Sure.
Remo, Jim, thanks so much. Well done. Way to stay on track, and thanks for answering all the questions that you did. So thanks, folks, for sitting in on our community meeting. We're gonna now not exactly segue, just move on to Len Schauber and our CPO portion of the evening. Are you at a place, Len, where if you talk, we can hear you?
Let me try this and see if you can hear me.
You just disappeared again, bud. Say it one more time.
Let me try and see if you can hear me.
Little marginal. What happens if you get just a little closer to the screen? There you go. Try again.
Check my audio settings.
I don't know. Maybe it's just my machine, but
No, it's really poor quality.
Okay.
Testing 1, 2.
Yeah, I can hear 1 and 2. That was good. Well, okay.
It wasn't fine up until a couple days ago, and then it stopped working, I guess.
Okay. Well, listen. Why don't I jump in here and see if I can get us through this, Len. Thanks to Garrett for all your help and trying to get Len hooked up. Stay on there, Len, because I'm sure that there's things that you have that, I mean, this is a pretty abbreviated agenda on your part. The Willamette United Soccer Club appeal is coming up on October 15th. And I believe it's at, the last thing I heard was at 9:30. Rick, is that right? KK, 9:30. It's a Zoom meeting. I would assume you can go on the planning website, Clackamas County Planning website, and we can also probably post it too and get on that. We sent in after an emergency meeting between our last meeting and this one, we sent in basically a consensus kind of an emergency CPO meeting. And so that's in the record. I know that Bill Merchant from Beaver Creek and Brent Perry's from Eagle Creek. Am I right? Okay. What you see is Rick Cook giving me pantomime so that I use the right CPO name. Anyway, both of those folks wrote some really powerful support for, I guess, in essence, an opposition to the complex, but in support of the neighbors that are up against it. And so they will take more testimony on the day of. So anybody that has an interest, an issue, their input, and that means, you know, if you support it, same thing. That's what this is all about. So that's coming up on 2 days from now, on Thursday the 15th. As well as we are going to have an election, which is for both the Hamlet and the CPO officers. For a long time, Len has been the CPO chair, which he has been all the other moving parts of the CPO since Walt retired. And then it was just the two of them. So we're looking to put a full complement of four officers, if we can get them out of the community, to support the CPO. With what we've gone through here with a few of these applications, it feels very much like we need more help in that arena, and so this isn't one or two people carrying the freight. Are there any new applications, Len, that you have in front of you?
Let me test and see if I'm working on. Do you hear me at all?
I can a little.
Okay, we only had one application come in that was for a continuation of a current home occupation on Elderberry Lane, a gunsmithing business, and that's on a half-acre home lot. That's the only thing that's come in as far as an open one. The main thing being, like you said, the soccer field signing off the hearing coming up on Thursday. Reading through their approval booklet that they sent, it showed primarily that all the questions and things that were brought up were things that they would say are applicable more to a conditional use hearing, not really applicable in this arena. However, the biggest thing that I can see, which is a problem, is they're looking for similar use, and their examples that they use are not on RRFF5 property. Nothing in there says where they're located. So I want to bring up that specific point if I can when we have the meeting. But most everything else that they're talking about are considerations that will be brought up at the application for conditional use. So that's kind of my take on it.
Thanks. So one of the things that I realize is that when somebody can't be heard well, you really tend to focus and try to grab every other word so that you can put the pieces together and understand what you were saying. I got it, Len, and that would be, I mean, to your point, that would be great to have that as a submission as well. I think that was, in no small part, that was Bill Merchant's position as well. Yeah, and there again, I think Rick Cook deserves some recognition because of his time spent both in support and an annoyance of the folks in the CPO summit. He was able to get some folks to see the parallels in their world and what we're facing here. And both what Brent Perry's and Bill Merchant put together as testimony is great. And I think actually the CPO, the rhododendron CPO chair, although he didn't speak for his CPO, he did speak as an individual, I think will be well received as well. So there's definitely some energy building, and And hopefully it will have we'll have some influence at least, and can make their case, so the folks out there feel like they're being represented. If there are questions or folks listening in that have hands up that want to say something or ask a question, I'll leave that in Katie's hands. Anything, Katie?
Sure. There, right now, if you have any questions about land use that you want to discuss during the CPO portion of this meeting, please use the raise your hand feature or type it into chat. Rick, are you doing the old-fashioned hand
I am.
raising?
I don't know where my little hand is. Bill, were you going to mention Lusher Farm?
Oh, well, I was going to mention it on the board meeting, but no, this is probably the appropriate time. In fact, I wasn't going to mention it because I was going to have you mention it during the board meeting, so take it.
Oh, Lusher Farm, or City of Lake Oswego has pulled their application to Metro to go into the UGB because it came back that they were going to deny it, and because they hadn't jumped through all the hoops and dotted their I's and crossed their T's and all that stuff. So they have pulled their current application of going into or applying for moving into the UGB so they can actually have control of what happens on Lusher Farm instead of having to deal with the county. In a nutshell.
Well, nutshell. Anything else showing up, Katie Wilson?
No.
Okay. Then I'm going to move on, which is pretty stellar. I mean, we almost made up the extra time, both in starting a little late and with the Westland-Wilsonville School District going a little longer. So we're going to move on to the board meeting. I'm going to call it to order, and we've got an agenda in front of you, or we will have here shortly. I think Katie Kreider, or do you put that up, or Katie's staring into space? I can Ah, look at that. Okay, so here's where we are, folks. Meeting's been called to order. Approve the agenda. We'll need a motion and a second. But you have to unmute yourself to make that happen.
I move to accept the minutes as they stand.
What isn't the minutes we're doing yet? It's the agenda.
Oh, sorry. I move to accept the agenda.
That's great. Thank
Second
you.
that.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, agenda has been approved or moved to be approved and seconded. All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, that was pretty unanimous. Now we're going to have the minutes were sent out by Kate Roth, and it was good for me to read because there was some things in there that I had completely forgot. I can. Is there? I guess is there any changes to the minutes? Anybody have anything that they want to insert now that they found to be either lacking or wrong? Okay.
I move the minutes be approved as written.
Let Len move to approve the minutes as written. Do we have a second?
Yes.
That's Jane. You guys are working in tandem. That's good. All those in favor of approving the minutes signify by raising your hand. All those opposed? Okay. Unanimous, and minutes are approved. So we have an annual meeting of the Hamlets and the Board of County Commissioners, and that took place earlier in the month, I believe. Anyway, Beaver Creek, Malino, and ourselves. it went fine. It was good to see the commissioners. I wouldn't say that anything profound came out of it on our side. I will say that Beaver Creek is pretty motivated to take Karis under their wing, which has been a non-active CPO for a number of years, and hopefully Katie and they can get that ironed out. But I think everybody was cognizant of the fact that there's not very much money in the coffers, and I didn't hear anybody complaining about that. We all felt like it was a necessary evil that we will all work around. I did give recognition for some of the accomplishments that that occurred. Patty Manuel specifically working hard on bringing new residents into an awareness of what the Hamlet is. Rick Cook and his Egg Challenge, and also, as before mentioned, the CPO Summit and his involvement with that, and how that could, in the future maybe be a vehicle where in crisis, as with these fires, we find a new way of connecting some dots of resources that that can be done quickly and efficiently to help in a crisis situation. So candidates for our board, so both the CPO and ourselves, as well as a vote on the new community vision plan, will take place in January. This piece, though, that I'm addressing right now is to get those of you listening that might have an interest or know someone that may have an interest in being involved on either of those boards to get an application. You can call or email myself, Jana, use the CPO, Stafford CPO at gmail.com email address, so that we can get some candidates to replace the 3 spots that we have available. It's not a lot of time that you have to put in, but it is some, and people that are out there that are benefiting, some of which cannot spare the time. We've got to do what we can so that this thing keeps its legs. And there's been a lot of legwork done up to this point, and we'll hope that that it could continue in the future, but that takes bodies. Bill Long, Treasurer's Report.
Yeah, let's see. Okay. We still don't have a statement, but that should be in there this week. We have $1,479.86 in the bank. That's not reconciled, but there's only been 2 checks that have gone out. One was $105 for that old one for Kate Roth that Joe had written, and it was too old to cash. And it was, as you know, returned and replaced. And then a new check for minutes for $375. Other than that, I don't know of any movement with the trust account. And it says, you said something on there about a budget from the county. Katie, I don't know much about that. Was there a budget coming to us? Katie Wilson?
That was, I'd have to look back at what the agreement was. I don't have it in front of me. You would have already received it. I think we discussed that.
Okay. I think that's yesterday's news. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Bill's shaking his head. But other than that, that's where we are. Bill, you're muted.
You're muted.
Bill?
Yeah, that's.
You're muted.
Sometimes my wife will sneak up and do that just so she can't hear me. What we've got is what we'll get, and that's just that. That's our time. That's the times. I mean, the county is scrambling, I think, mightily try to keep as many services in place as they can. And I should say, you know, going backwards just a minute, thanks very much, Bill, for the report. Katie Wilson made a strong statement of appreciation for what she sees happening both in the CPO and Hamlet world out here in terms of all the volunteers and what we take on. I don't know that there's necessarily an awareness on the part of the commissioners as to, you know, how much time is spent getting all these pieces to line up. But the fact that she works in that arena and sees what's going on, it was nice to have you say that. So thanks for your thanks for your effort.
Absolutely.
You guys deserve the thanks. Thank you so much for those kind words, Bill, but it was well deserved. You guys work very, very hard and you deserve the credit.
Thanks.
Bill,
yeah.
can I just give you a very quick thing along that same line where I had sent an email because I felt that the commissioners hadn't thanked the Hamlets enough for especially Beaver Creek has fed 500 kids for 100 kids for 5 weeks and stuff. And other than Jim thanking for the presentation that the Hamlets did, there wasn't much said by any, and 2 commissioners didn't ask a question or didn't make a comment. So I kind of thought, well, being me, I had to fire a little note. So today in the policy session, the tail end I just caught where Commissioner Bernard actually wanted to be sure to thank all the CPOs for their lovely meeting they had with the commissioners. And I thought he came real close. He almost said Hamlets, but he only said CPO. So anyway, it's the ongoing education of the commissioner. So there you go.
Thanks, Rick. It's baby steps. Okay, so we already covered Lesher Farm, which was one of the things I had down here, but wasn't on the agenda. So you guys approved the agenda, but the agenda's has a few more legs to it. Katie Kreider informed some of us that there'd been a cougar sighting on Sweetbriar Road. Katie, you want to take what you know about that?
Sure. So I think the sighting was last Monday on the corner of Sweetbriar and Wilda, and it was in the daylight. Apparently the cougar, assuming it was the same one, was also sighted on Clematis. There has been a lot of activity, if you will, on Nextdoor and other similar social sites about cougar sightings in the Lake Oswego area as well the week prior. Fish and Wildlife have been notified, and they're just asking if we have an encounter to share that information with them and try to get a photograph if possible. I haven't heard of any cougars, you know, having interactions with livestock or anyone else. So that's good news, but sounds like they are in the area. That's what I hear. That's all I have. And no cougar jokes.
So easy, so hard not to, but we won't do that. Your neighbor, Ava, she called this evening to say that, which she figured I'd heard that, and which she was right. But she said that somebody also saw a black bear. The irony of all of this is that, I mean, there has been folks that have seen cougar scat in our immediate area, and then there's been the video down in Ashtown. I've never seen a black bear, but then again, as with both of these species of animals, they're probably doing just about everything they can to stay out of eyesight of folks and away from, you know, I mean, the reason they've been successful and stayed alive is because people don't know they're there or don't see them. Anyway, thanks, Katie.
So Bill, this is Rich.
Yeah.
The last black bear was 81. that I know of.
Okay,
So
well,
it's been a while.
that's 3 years after I moved in, so I guess I had a chance of seeing one, but no, the guy didn't come into my neighborhood, or at least into my field of vision. Okay, so mailbox. Len Shaver, given the marching orders that I did, because having a conversation with Katie Wilson, she felt like we were paying too much for our CPO / Hamlet post office box, which is a UPS store. Well, lo and behold, they had a space at the Westland post office, which may not be around for more than about 4 or 5 months. We don't know, but we've got a year's contract with them and save some money. And so thank you, Lynn, for that. And I think Katie is going to post that to the, Katie Wilson is going to post that with the planning department and certainly with PGA, the new address.
And for everybody to notice that the new box number is 382.
Yeah, we went from we saved some money. So
the PO box 382 is the number of the box.
Right, 382. So it's just that post office box and then Westland, Oregon, and that's all you've got to put down. I mean, obviously, you can put down CPO or Hamlet, whichever you're writing to, but there's a lot of ways that this is more for a bunch of documents that that the county is required to send us, and most of it, 9 out of 10 or maybe even 15 out of 16 is CPO stuff. It's very little Hamlet stuff, but we still can utilize it. Okay, we all talked about already having the election in the January. Anything from the floor, any of you other board members that have anything you want to share that may have been left off of this? Patty Manuel.
Well, I just have a question. Is that actually going to happen? Has that been determined that we're having elections in January?
Katie Wilson?
Yes, Bill and I set up a meeting for a subcommittee of the board members to get together to coordinate all the details, but yes, we will be having an election in January.
So what would the date be when we would normally be having a board meeting in January?
We'll be doing it virtually, so we need to work out all the details. So I don't know that we're ready to announce anything as far as dates and schedule, but that's what we will be coordinating this coming Thursday with that subcommittee, and then we will make those details known, and we'll be sending out notification to the community with all the information that they need to participate.
Okay, so sorry, one more question about that. So the election is going to be for board members, and for us it will be for the community vision plan?
Yes.
Okay.
And CPO board members.
Yeah, so we're going to discuss all of that and the mechanics of how we will make all that happen, because there are some CPO members who are not members of the Hamlet, and so we need to coordinate all of that and what questions will be called on each of those ballots. So we will work all those details out and make sure that that information is available on the Hamlet website, and then the mailing that goes out to the community will line all of that out also.
Okay, so there's going to be a meeting this week, so then we can get information out on the website so we can have people who potentially are interested in the board get their applications in time. Okay?
Yes, that's the goal.
Okay. I have a totally different question, and it has to do with Rick Cook. And the last meeting, we were trying to set up something with Lake Oswego Parks and Rec regarding the swim center. And did anything ever happen with that?
I had a call into Ivan, and when the fires hit and all that, everything kind of fizzled out, so I haven't followed up again with him, but I will call him again tomorrow. and see if he would like to come. And would you want him to do a presentation at the next meeting?
Well, I don't know if you're asking me personally. I mean, honestly, like when you brought this up last week, or sorry, last month, I did not realize that Lake Oswego had seriously decided that they were going to do that. So in the interim, I've spoken to a lot of people from Lake Oswego, and evidently it's a done deal.
It is.
I think that's going to be a surprise to a lot of people in the Hamlet, frankly. So, yeah, I think it would be great, you know.
And I think the bigger thing is not only that they're going to do the Parks and Rec Center there.
Right.
Reconfigure the golf course.
And they're going to have a community
Once
building there.
everything goes into the UGB, then all the other programs they want to do this. So would you like him to come next meeting if he can?
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. Bill, I think Bill, it looks like Bill has something to say here.
Bill has something to say. He doesn't remember to take his mute off.
Patty, if I could get 2 of those welcome packets of yours.
Sure.
We have 3 people on the road I'd like to talk to, but get them to Bill, and Bill, you and I can have a meeting over at our office at Wonkers. And I can go through what I want to present.
Okay. Wait.
And I'd like to take those down Mossy Bay Road.
Okay, that's great. But if you have 3 new people, why do you need 2 welcome packets? Maybe you need 3 welcome packets.
Well, we have 2 people that moved from Hawaii, the Hawaiian Mafia, and I'm just going to give them 1 and then go see someone else. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of new people on the road. Yeah.
I'll give them to
I'm
Bill.
trying to be frugal.
You guys can, yeah, get them together.
But give them to Bill, and then Bill and I will get together, okay?
Okay, sure.
We're gonna reel this back in. Okay, we'll just hope that the Hawaiian Mafia isn't watching tonight, because they're probably not going to be interested in your packet. Anyway,
They're my friends.
Go.
okay, so
They're my friends.
yeah, right. So back to your question. That's fine with me as far as putting on in the November community meeting. Ivan and you know what Lake Oswego has on, assuming that he's got the time or inclination to come and do that. I don't know, because of Jana being gone and John being gone, I don't know what they've got in the works. So that would be my only reticence. You know, we're saying this in a public venue, which is what the meeting is. I just don't know if there's something else that time has already been committed to. So I'm aware of it if there is, but that doesn't mean that they haven't done some legwork or have somebody lined up.
We can always cancel him.
Okay, that's fine.
And then I see Jeff Goodman still listening in, so maybe he'd like to have a few words about the workings of Lake Oswego. Just a thought.
I have a comment. If we,
I think Jeff is going to say something. I see.
okay,
his
go.
I will defer to the vice chair, or is that the chair of vice?
Hey now. Okay, just real quick, if we get Ivan, Rick, if we get Ivan, I would suggest that a brief overview, but the big concern would be trips.
Yeah.
The traffic study that's not completed yet.
I don't care. They must have some sort of projection based on parking spots. You know, nailing.
Yeah.
There you go. That's all.
You know, McVeigh can't hardly handle any more traffic than's already on it, you know, and all that traffic is going to come out onto McVeigh. Jeez, whatever.
Stafford first.
Okay, nice job of avoiding potential grief there. Next state treasurer. And thanks for sitting in. So, okay, we've kind of swum all over the place. Anybody else? Anything that we're missing before we sign off? Okay, crickets.
Wait, one more thing.
Oh, so
Oh,
close.
I know, but in the chat, Walt was saying that he'd like to be able to see the participants. Well, he can see it. All he has to do is just go down to the participants.
He can't see that
You
as an
can't?
attendee. Attendees don't have this, they can't see the same things you can see, Patty.
Oh,
So, but the meeting recording does collect all of that data. So we should be able to share that with him if he with whatever it is that he's looking to find
so
out.
if he goes to the recording, he can see who participated in the meeting?
I'm not sure if it shows up on our YouTube, but we collect that data. So if he's looking for something specific, I'm happy to coordinate with him to get him the information he's looking for.
And we would need that list for people to be able to vote for CPO officers if they've
Sure.
not been to the meeting.
Sure.
Okay, so I think Katie can maybe see the full interaction, but Jeff just sent something that flashed up on my screen. Do you want to read what Jeff Goodman said?
He says, pay attention to the candidates for the LO City Council and their views on Stafford. Tell your friends who live in LO.
So to that point, do we know where we are? Because we should have gotten all the questionnaires back that we were going to get back by the 10th. Do we know how many came back in, Patty?
Did we say the 10th or the 12th?
I thought it was the 10th, but whatever.
Well,
if you don't know, that's fine.
no, I don't know, but Jana is the one who would know. I gave you the update a few days ago on that, but I mean, we sent this out to all the people running for city council for all three municipalities, and so I don't know where we are with it.
We'll post it on our website. As soon as we get a compilation, I'll send it out. Send an email out to the board members as well. So we'll let you know. From John to all panelists. Then looks like there's somebody else. Is it John? Is John McCabe? It just says John. Can you see what? You're on mute, Katie Wilson.
It says John, also the Westland City Council as to their views on the Hamlet. But it doesn't, the John that's in the attendees has not listed his last name.
Oh, okay. Well, to that point, all three cities and all the candidates in all three cities, Katie Kreider sent specific questions to the three Lake Oswego mayoral candidates, but then we sent a different configuration to the other candidates and the rest of the Lake Oswego candidates and the other two cities. So, but it isn't like, the opportunity isn't there for them to give us feedback. Yeah, Katie Kreider.
Just to say that we have received responses from all three Lake Oswego mayoral candidates. We're just gathering all of the responses, and they will be posted publicly on the website. And we do have approval from everyone that replied to our questions that we can publish their comments on the website. And I think we are also going to email to our mailing list.
Great. This to me is a service, but not just to our community, but to the greater surrounding cities. So
wait, there is one more thing. I know when I talked to Jana, she was going to send out a reminder. I know that she sent out a reminder to everybody she had sent the first, set of questions to. So she was sending out a reminder to them like 3 or 4 days before whatever our deadline was. So, so they've all, been had an opportunity.
Ample opportunity.
Right.
Excellent. Okay. Anything else? then I really appreciate you guys all being here. Thanks, Katie Wilson, for putting this together. Garrett, I don't know if he's even still on, but thanks for helping Len. God knows Len needs help, and we'll see you all, in between now and then. But our next board meeting is November the 10th. Thanks y'all, and good night.
Everybody have a good night.
Yep, you too, Len. That's the best you've sounded, Len.